Hello guys, welcome back to Foodopedia. My name is Shreya Platia and I'm a PhD scholar at Institute of Chemical Technology, Mumbai, which is commonly known as ICT Mumbai. So today we would like to study about cold plasma technology in food processing. Let's get started. So before getting into cold plasma technology, we need to understand about the non-thermal processing methods and thermal processing methods and how cold plasma basically came into existence. So and why we need cold plasma. So first we'll study about the thermal processing techniques. So what is thermal processing? As most of you already might know, thermal processing techniques are the techniques where heat treatment is given to the food product to eliminate or reduce the possibility of spoilage of the food product basically. So here enzymatic activity is also reduced, and it is basically used to improve the shelf life of the products, or to give physical or chemical changes to the food product to maintain a certain quality standard. So some food components get lost in thermal processing as they are sensitive to high temperatures. Such food components can be pigments, vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, etc. Now there are three types of thermal processing. First one is blanching, where heat is applied to the food product through steam or boiling water, and then it is cooled down. Next is pasteurization, where liquid food products are treated with heat. Okay. Third one is sterilization, where again food is sterilized with the help of heat. Now we come to non-thermal food processing. Here, food at ambient temperature is exposed to alternate techniques. Now here, heat is not used. The alternate techniques can be high intensity light, high electrical discharge for a limited period of time. Here, minimum loss of nutrients, flavor, texture, mouth feel, etc. is seen, and this also provides better shelf life. Now here the types are pulse electric field, cold plasma, ultrasonication, microwave, and supercritical technology. Now today we would like to study here cold plasma. So we all know that solid converts into liquid if energy is given or heat is applied. Then if liquid is given heat, then it is converted into gas. But what happens is, now if we impart enough energy to gas, we will partially or totally ionize it. And that is that it will remove electrons from the atoms or molecules that constitute it. And in this way, we will reach to a new state of matter, which is called plasma. Now, plasma is made up of free electrons, atoms, molecules, and ions. Now, the energy needed to generate plasma can be supplied in several ways, such as through electrical discharge in gases or through interaction between laser radiation and solid and liquid or gas. So basically, plasma is the fourth state of matter after solid, liquid, and gas. And example of plasma in nature is sun, which is a gigantic plasma ball, lightning on Earth, temporary electrical discharge. Plasma state can be attained by the application of energy in several forms, which can be thermal energy, electrical or magnetic fields, radio or microwave frequencies. Now we will study about plasma. Plasma is of two types, thermal and non-thermal. Okay, so thermal plasma is generated when extremely high working power is applied. It produces huge energy. When talking about plasma, there are two types of plasmas, thermal and non-thermal. Now, thermal plasma is generated when extremely high working power is applied. It produces huge energy by utilizing high temperature. Now, here it uses high temperature, right? In non-thermal plasmas, the temperature is just room temperature. So this is the major difference between the two. Example of thermal plasma is aeronautical fields, metal industry, etc. And example of non-thermal plasma can be seen in polymer modifications, electronics, medicine, and in food industry. Now we have composition of plasma. Plasma contains charged particles which are OH negative, H2O positive, electrons, reactive oxygen species, superoxide ions, atomic oxygen, hydroxyl radical, ozone. Then we have reactive nitrogen species which are nitrogen, atomic nitrogen, etc. Then we have excited molecules like oxygen and nitrogen. Then we have positive and negative ions which are sodium, potassium, calcium ions. Next, we will study about plasma generation. Now, in case of plasma generation, high voltage, which can be AC, DC, electrical charge, microwave, heat, light, magnetic field, it can be any of these. High voltage is applied to feed gas. Now here feed gas is very important. Now feed gas can be atmospheric air, pure gas, or combination of these gases. Now when high voltage is applied to feed gas, the process of ionization happens and then plasma is generated through it, and then it is delivered through maybe coronary discharge or pulsed plasma or cold plasma. It can be generated through any of these. Okay, so this is the basic principle of plasma generation. This is how the basic process. Now we will study in detail about the cold plasma. Now we will study in more detail about cold plasma. Now to a food processor, non-thermal plasma is made of antimicrobial process that does not rely on heat for inactivation of associated pathogens. So here we do not need heat to inactivate the pathogens. Here we just need electrical discharges or microwave discharges or any kind of voltage, and then we need a feed gas. That's it. Okay, so for practical purpose, non-thermal processes are those that cause little or no thermal damage to the food product being treated. So there are three primary mechanisms by which cold plasma inactivates microbes. First one is by chemical interaction of radicals, reactive species, or charged particles with cell membranes. Here there is a chemical interaction of radicals and reactive species and charged particles, and by that it inactivates the microbes. Second one is by damage to membranes and internal cellular components by UV radiation. Now here UV radiation is focused, and by UV radiation the damage to membranes and internal cellular components is being done. Okay. Third one is by DNA strands may be broken by UV generated during recombination of the plasma species. Now here UV radiations are used to break the DNA strands, and then plasma species are recombined and then they are generated. Okay. So now we will understand the working of plasma, cold plasma. Okay, so here you can see that we have two electrodes. One is grounded and the other one is connected with electrical supply. In between the gap of these two electrodes, the carrier gas will be moving, and then these electrodes are being supplied with the electric current. The gases which are present in between the electrodes will then get ionized, so the food which you want to treat will be kept between these electrodes as plasma will be generated between them. Now, free electrons colliding with gas atoms transfer their energy, thus generating highly reactive species that can react with the food surface. Now, the electron energy is sufficient to dissociate covalent bonds in those organic molecules. Now, this is the basic working of cold plasma. Okay. Now, there are four types of plasma sources. It can be firstly corona discharge, second dielectric barrier discharge, third gliding arc plasma generation, fourth one is microwave induced plasma. Now here is the basic diagrammatic representation of all of these four. We will study each of them briefly now. Okay, so first one is corona discharge. In corona discharge, the plasma creates a lightning crown kind of thing on the discharge phase, which is why it is called corona. Okay, so its advantages are it is high in efficiency, it does not cost a lot of investment, and also operational cost. Its disadvantages are that it is very noisy and power loss and insulation damage of devices also. Its uses can be seen in surface treatment of tissue culture, longer durability, and corrosion resistance. It's also used widely by the medical industry, the pharma industry, biotech industry, aerospace, and other industries to treat components basically. Next is dielectric barrier discharge. Now, dielectric barrier discharge is basically created by electrical discharge, which is between two electrodes which are separated by an insulating barrier. Okay, the plasma in this dielectric barrier discharge is sustained between those electrodes, where one or both of the electrodes are covered by dielectrics, which separate the electrodes from the gas. Now, this process uses a high voltage of alternate current with a lower frequency. Okay, so its advantages are that it is very efficient and cost effective also. It is used in food decontamination and surface treatment, etc. Next, we have gliding arc discharge. Now, as the name suggests, it comes out like an arc. So the discharges start at the spot where the distance between the electrodes is the shortest and is spread by gliding along the electrodes in the flow direction until they disappear after a certain path to repeat this cycle. Okay, now this can provide relatively high levels of electron density, current, and power typical for thermal plasmas, together with relatively low temperature and elevated electric field types typical for cold non-equilibrium plasmas. Now, application of high voltage between these electrodes creates specific unstable discharges between electrodes and also across the flow. Next, we have microwave-induced plasma. Now, in microwave-induced plasma, frequency used is between 300 megahertz to 10 gigahertz. Now, microwave-induced plasma consists of a quartz tube which is surrounded by a microwave guide or a cavity, like you can see in the picture. Microwaves produced from a magnetron, which is a microwave generator. These fill the waveguide, which you can see waveguide is here. Now, they fill the waveguide and cause the electrons in the plasma to oscillate. Okay, so the oscillating electrons then collide with other atoms in the flowing gas to create a high temperature plasma. So basically, the electrons are colliding with each other and the other atoms in the flowing gas to create and maintain a high temperature plasma. Now, typically, 2.45 gigahertz is the frequency used in microwave-induced plasma, which is almost the same which is used in our microwave ovens. Okay, so its advantages are that it has a wide range of operational conditions, has high chemical reactivity also. Its applications are in ion production, analytical chemistry, waste treatment, surface treatment, electromagnetic coating, etc. Okay, so now we will talk about the applications of cold plasma. Now here you can see that coal plasma is very well applicable and doing well in agriculture, food industry, medicine industry. It is doing good work in inactivation of pathogens in liquids, which is water, juices. It changes the pH, vitamin content changes, decontamination of food powders such as spices, black pepper, milk powder is being done. Decontamination of face masks are also done for this SARS-CoV-2 virus and other viruses also. Tooth bleaching is also done. Dental plaque is also removed from cold plasma technique. Food preservation is also done at ambient temperatures. Inactivation of pathogens is also done. So there are many uses of cold plasma. Okay, so now what is the use of cold plasma in the food industry? So, firstly, inactivation of microorganisms and enzymes can be seen, like in the case of Salmonella, E. coli, norovirus, at varying degrees. Now, there is a wide diversity in the treatment protocols of all of these. So, specific time, temperature, specific gas, and pressure, and everything must be applied. Okay, second is efficient sterilization. Now, efficient sterilization is also an applicability of cold plasma. You can use cold plasma to sterilize the food products. Third is improved food quality and safety by efficiently degrading the agrochemicals, allergens, anti-nutrients, and toxins. So, all of these can be degraded, and then the food quality can be improved with the help of cold plasma technique. Fourth one is modification of starches. Now, modification of starches can be done by changing the microstructure and colloidal properties of foods. Last one is structural modification of food packaging materials. Now, even food packaging materials are being treated with cold plasma, and their structural modification is leading to better packaging materials. Okay, so to conclude, what all we have learned today. Firstly, cold plasma is a unique technology which is responsible for microbial destruction and surface modification of substrate, as conventional preservation techniques have some detrimental effects on nutritional quality. So, as we studied, some thermal techniques were having some detrimental effects on the nutritional quality of the food product. Right. So here, when we talk about cold plasma, the nutritional quality effects are minimal, or they are very, very negligible. Okay. Second is plasma sterilization provides high efficiency preservation and does not introduce toxicity to the medium. Now, plasma sterilization, as it defines very clearly, is very high in efficacy, preservation, and does not introduce toxicity to the medium, which is very important, right? Third is the most important is to select a particular gas which already possesses germicidal properties so that efficiency of plasma sterilization can be increased. So, like I told you, the choosing the gas which we are using in the cold plasma treatment is very important. The feed gas which we talked about, which was the second step, right? After giving the electrical discharge, we need to focus on the feed gas, right? So we will need to choose a particular gas which already possesses germicidal properties so that the efficiency of plasma sterilization can be increased, right? The cold plasma techniques are preservation treatments that are effective at ambient temperatures, thereby minimal thermal effects on nutritional and sensory quality parameters of food with no chemical residues are obtained. Okay, so as we have seen that the temperatures are ambient which are used in cold plasma, therefore there is minimal thermal effects on nutritional and sensory quality parameters of food with no chemical residues. Okay, Next is plasma can be used for starch modification as additive and as filler component in packaging materials. Last one is, although cold plasma technology is not yet used commercially on a large scale, the equipment should be readily scalable. However, research efforts must be taken to evaluate the expenditure for the treatment for large quantities of food commodities at industry level, and also the quality, safety, wholesomeness of the food commodities. So it is saying that the cold plasma technology is not yet used commercially on a large scale, but it is highly scalable. So research efforts should be taken to evaluate the expenditure for the treatment, as at industry level the cost really matters, and so the also the quality, safety, and wholesomeness of the food commodities must be analyzed. That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.